let's make caviar pie and poached pears and red wine. We're back at dinner party tonight. We had a little gap in February, but I urge you to look at these 60-second shorts. The team is creating, they're fabulous. And if you want to get to a recipe quickly, just like quickly review it if you're making it. They're very useful and they're fun and they're awesome. What we're going to do today is a sort of tribute to my dear Aunt Mary SHARP CRONSON, MSC. Aunt Mary was 96 years old and died this year. And we just had a beautiful memorial, which was totally fabulous and organized by my cousins. It was very lovely. I wanted to make some dishes that Aunt Mary used to make. She had legendary dinner parties. You wonder where all this comes from. We decided on two things that Aunt Mary used to make that are a little crazy. Citrus fruit supreme, which is very beautiful in the winter because citrus is so available and beautiful right now. And in the center of that, there's going to be red wine poached pears, which Aunt Mary would poach whole and stuff the cavity with chocolates. We're not going to do that exactly, but we're going to make a sort of tribute version of the poached pears and surround it with this beautiful syrupy supreme, which is a very fancy cut, which I have never done before, so that should be fun. But the main event, after 3,000 texts with my cousins, is a dish I have no memory of, but I trust them, called caviar pie. What that is puff pastry, whipped potatoes, and a layer of caviar. God help us, okay? Aunt Mary would probably use, well, if it was Christmas, she would use the best, but I'm saying you're not gonna use the best caviar in the world to put on top of this. Of course, when we went to buy the caviar, they didn't have the inexpensive one, curiously. So we had to buy pretty good caviar. So everybody, you're gonna be eating caviar today. Is that okay with everyone?
Sounds good.
Okay, all right. Let me just tell you a little bit about my aunt quickly. She was my father's sister. She was an incredible patron of the arts, specifically for the New York City Ballet, but also she created a program in a theater under the Guggenheim that nobody was using called Works in Process, where she would take operas, ballets, plays, musical pieces, and have the composer, an interlocutor, and like two of the performers on a panel, and they would perform bits of it and explain their process. And this program has since magnificently been sort of taken over by my cousin Caroline Cronson, and it's a huge success. If you're in New York City and you're interested in learning about how art works are created, go to Works in Process at the Guggenheim. It's fabulous. It's totally great. She had a varied, crazy traveling life, loved to travel. I heard at the memorial that she was a really terrible driver, which I then instantly remembered on being on the vineyard and like fearing for my life in the car with her. But she was a sort of intrepid human, a beloved person. And as my dad would say, she could swing in every jungle. So let's make caviar pie and poached pears and red wine. Go for it, Aunt Mary. If you look up caviar pie, which Lynn did because I gave her no explanation, you will find pretty weird things online. I had to ask the Cronson, I call them the Cronsonian Institute of Knowledge, to ask them what hers was, because online it didn't seem right to me. You'll see like piles of sour cream with caviar, just strange things. Hers is maybe also strange, I don't know. So it's a puff pastry base. So we're gonna make that, blind bake that, with whipped potatoes with caviar on top. Now, what are whipped potatoes? Now we've made Duchess potatoes and country style mashed potatoes, and we've made decadent mashed potatoes, but these are decadent beyond concept because they were created by Joel Robuchon, one of the most talented and brilliant French chefs that's ever lived. If I can recommend one book, I think it's out of print, But this book, Simply French, was created by Patricia Wells, who is a great cook, but also was the only foreign person ever to be a restaurant critic in Paris. That tells you a lot about her. And they were good friends, and so they created this book together. There they are, sitting together. So we went to the Robuchon restaurant, which is in the MGM Grand. It's at the back of the casino floor. So you're walking through a pretty gnarly casino floor. Bing, 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 bing. Wheel of Fortune. There's this door, and you walk in the door, and you're literally at Robuchon's. Dead silent. You can't hear anything, and it was fabulous. The food was out of this world. So we're gonna do his recipe for whipped potatoes, which I'm just gonna warn you, 1 pound of butter, which is 4 sticks of butter, milk, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little bit of a process. So I'm gonna kind of get the process started, then I'm gonna shape the pie while I'm finishing the potatoes. So what I did was I bought Yukons. I boiled these, very simple, boiled potatoes. They're 100% cooked. Okay, why do you leave the skins on? Good question. You leave the skins on because, in theory, it makes the potatoes more potato-y. The first thing I'm gonna do is take the skins off. So I'm using a cloth and I'm kind of pulling the skins off, like this. I don't like those eyes. The black eyes have to be cut out. They're so soft, you know, I'm just using a little spoon to kind of dig out those spots. I've had them at his restaurant. I know what they look like and taste like. They're exquisite. Robuchon claims that they made his career. That's what he's the most famous for. Aunt Mary said many, many maxims to me. When I was kind of a hippie, she said to me, well, I'm still a hippie, but when she said, Randall, it's just as easy to fall in love with a rich man as a poor man. Because I'm like, I don't want to get involved in the bourgeoisie, you know. She's like, hey, same guy. Blah, blah, blah. Place them, cook them, drain them, bring the milk just to a boil over high heat, set aside. Well, we didn't do that. That's unfortunate. Let's boil the milk. He says to use 3/4 to 1 1/4, depending on your consistency. So I'm gonna heat 1 1/4 in case we need it, even though I really doubt it. Now keep an eye on this because milk boils over. And unless you're doing the Annapurna Indian ceremony where it's meant to boil over onto your stovetop, which I still think is the messiest celebration possible if you've ever cleaned boiled over milk. So I'm gonna keep this at a relatively high heat and we're gonna let it just start to boil. All right, here we go. Puff, oh, it's soft as a baby's butt. Now you're not scared of puff pastry. Why? Because you're a dinner partier. Now remember, this has to be done somewhat swiftly. I'm gonna use this, which has an alarmingly huge radius, caviar-wise. There should be enough caviar. Just gonna do just a little bit of Everbake. Now you're gonna have to weight this down, so keep this in mind. If you just put a circle of puff pastry in here, it'll go like this in the center. So you have to weight the center down, just like we did in the millefeuille thing, in the Italian wedding cake. Oh yeah. Doody bom bom. Okay, a little bit of flour. I'm gonna use this guy instead of the really big one. She had a cute little super old BMW. It was awesome. Now, after the memorial, I remember just almost dying in that car like 50 times. Rolling this out a little bit thin, but not too thin because we need it to be robust. Cut a circle that's a little bigger than this. Rolling this out a little bit. It's no longer perfect, but that's okay. You know, you're making such a fancy pie, maybe it's sort of cute if the crust is not like totally perfect, right? Oh my God, it's cute. Do you think it's cute? This part I'm just making up. So sorry, Aunt Mary. And sorry, Caroline, if you told me how to do this and I forgot. Okay, I'm gonna put it back in the fridge for a second to cool off a little bit. Just like with the Italian wedding cake, I don't want the center of that pie to go up in the air, right? So I'm gonna use a weight. This happens to be the right size. Is it too heavy? Possibly. So halfway through, I might remove the weight. I'm just gonna give it a little spritzy poo of, so that it doesn't stick, but it's not gonna stick because it's butter. Take the pastry out, paint it with an egg wash. Here it is, our little pastry case. Why am I doing this? Because you're not gonna see any of this? I don't know. Because maybe I'm trying to get it on the edges in case we can get a little shiny poo, in case we don't fill it to the brim. Maybe the caviar is just below the rim. I'm flying blind here, Aunt Mary. I think we should have Edgar back, don't you guys?
Oui.
We should have Edgar and Emily on the same show. That would be fun. Last one?
No, that was 3.
Last one.
4. We need 4.
There's 3 in there, dude.
Oh, there are?
Yes.
Okay. One more.
No, it's in my hand.
Oh. I lost count.
Oh my God. Look how perfectly this fits. Is this the right idea? We'll try it. Let's try it. It's okay. It's our only piece of puff pastry, so if it doesn't work, we're in trouble. Okay, halfway through, I'm gonna remove that. 420, 400 oven until it's brown. So we're gonna cut this into pieces. Mr. Robuchon wants us to use cold butter, which I find strange, but anyway. In fact, we're going to make these slightly less whipped than his. You know why? Because I want it to hold up the caviar. His are so beautiful that I'm afraid the caviar would sink. You follow me? Well, stop following me or I'll have you arrested. But I'm gonna put them back in the fridge because for some reason he wants them cold. You could do these as an appetizer in a little cup, which you could frankly buy or make, which is a hassle. I've made them because they puff up in the center. That's an hors d'oeuvres, hors d'oeuvre. Or you could make it as a first course. Seems a little intense. I believe Aunt Mary used to serve it with other things, but the Cronsonian Institute of Knowledge might have to correct me. I'm going to pass the potatoes through the old potato ricer that you might know and love. Oh yeah, potato ricer. Guys, you kind of have to have a potato ricer for Duchess, for good mashed potatoes, for these super decadent mashed potatoes. You kind of need a ricer, sorry. Just buy one. Your guests will thank you. Mr. Robuchon wants us to vigorously stir them over a heat. Get all the moisture out, like the duxelle, you know. So I have a problem sometimes if you open wine aggressively. It sprays wine on the ceiling. And it appears that Sam and Leo have tried to remove some of them and possibly made it worse, but we'll see, we'll see. These are dry enough. We're gonna start adding the butter. And it's this much butter. 1, 2, 3, I did 7. And we're just melting it. As soon as we see the butter melting, we're gonna add more. And as we're doing this, we're stirring it. Now listen. News Flash America. Do not try to make whipped potatoes in a blender. Unlike cauliflower, celery root, etc., potatoes, when put into a blender, break the starch molecule and it literally turns into wallpaper paste. It doesn't work. So do not use a blender. Instead, we're going to explore the dreaded Tammy. Dun, 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 which we're not going to use. I'm going to show you how to use it and then we're going to abandon it instantly. More butter, please, more butter, please. Every time I do this, I'm making them smoother. So you're not just melting the butter in here, you're also starting the process of making the most decadent potatoes on planet Earth. Right now, they're like regular mashed potatoes. A little bit of salt. Don't put any pepper. He wants it white as the driven snow. You know what line has been coming into my head recently is, the moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below. That's so beautiful. Now, look how smooth that is already. See right there? Use a little bit of milk. Oh man, the Chevets. Tiny bit more and we're done. Now, Mr. Robuchon, he would want it to slide back in the space that it made. See how slowly it's moving? He wants it to move straight back in to the hole. Oh man, look at that! I'm just gonna check it for seasoning. They're really good. This is called a tammy. It's also called a drum sieve. What it does is make it super fine. I'm not going to do the whole thing unless it's really easy. Here we go. Who does this at home? Oh, it went through. In some restaurants, they'll pass it through multiple times in gradating tammies. Like more fine, more fine, more fine. Oh, it's pretty smooth. Should we see if there's a big difference? Not really. Let's get an unbiased person here. So you're going to tell me which one is smoother.
It's a very subtle.
Very subtle difference. Yeah, okay, so we're not going to bother with it. We really didn't have any intention of using it. I just wanted to show it to you. He puts it through a tammy. However, we're using it in another sort of iteration. We do want it to be slightly firm, which I'm very pleased with that. I might pipe it, though, just to make it really beautiful. Let's take it to the stage. It's not going to stick because it's butter. It's not going to stick because it's butter.
Yeah.
Oh!
Well, that we know is
Wait,
good.
check the bottom.
The bottom is perfectly cooked.
It's really stuck. Okay. I'm holding it. Okay. It's beautiful. The reason why it's stuck there is because that was a repair I made. It was double thick. Wow, guys. Our little crust came out perfect. I would say do not egg wash the center. What happened was the bottom of the smaller pan glued to the pastry. It's only sheer luck that it's intact. I'm gonna pipe this in. I'm not sure I can replicate that. But anyway, it doesn't matter because we're gonna cover it with caviar. I just thought it's an elegant dish, pipe it in case the caviar rolls off. You can see a little pipe. So here we go. We're gonna have a lot of mashed potatoes for lunch, guys. Oh yeah. Twist the top. This hand guides, this hand squeezes. Don't squeeze with both hands. I'm just warning you. Like Duchess potatoes, but more decadent if that's possible. This will also hold our rather delicate case together successfully, I believe. I mean, this is fancy. I don't know if Aunt Mary did it this way, but holy cow. This is a Christmas dish. All right, that's divine. Just filling in these little gaps. Comme ça, voila. I don't think Aunt Mary could complain. Now, Caroline told me that you couldn't see through the caviar. So why did I pipe it? I don't know. Now, caviar. What is caviar? Caviar is the egg from a female, obviously, sturgeon. There's an incredible video, an old F-word episode where Gordon goes to a sustainable sturgeon farm. There's a very famous one now in Madagascar, of all places, where these fish are Russian or Iranian in the very cold areas of Iran, which exist. The fact that they can grow them in Madagascar is fascinating. That's also a very interesting documentary. But check out Gordon going to the sturgeon farm, because when of course they kill the animal. So vegetarians, ovo-lacto vegetarians, you can't eat caviar. But when they open it, you cannot believe how much caviar is in one fish. So much caviar. The problem with it is it's not responsibly farmed sometimes. So I use a company called Petrosian, which is this company with the great logo. Could you use salmon roe? Absolutely. Could you use lumpfish roe, which is the other kind of caviar, not sturgeon? Sure. You could also just serve this, okay, with cheese. You could gratiner, it would be amazing. But, we're doing a tribute to Aunt Mary. So I am notoriously bad at opening caviar. Now, usually I can do it like this. They also give you this, which is inexplicable. How could that possibly work? Then they sent me this. Now, what the hell is this for? Okay? Did you ever see the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore? The scene where he breaks the letter carrier is like the seed of all my direction as a theater director. He tries to put it back together, and then eventually he just goes.
This is a goner.
But you can use a quarter, you can use a key, you can use pretty much anything you want. So you just slide the opener in here and you twist. And the top should pop up.
Twisting line.
Yeah.
Can't do
Go
it.
straight with the.
So am I trying
opener
to?
He can't
straight
do
like
it,
this,
by the way.
And you.
Nikki, you try it. You stick that in and then twist it. There you go. You got it. Okay. Thanks, Nikki. Okay, look at that. Black gold. It should have no smell. If it smells, don't eat it. Look, is it decadent? Absolutely. You're not eating this every day. Once a year. Get somebody else to buy it. That's what my dad would always say. Obviously, my hands are clean. Even though Caroline told me there were no holes in the caviar, we're leaving a slightly white border, which I think will photograph rather well. I think that looks very professional. So caviar is supposed to be cold. Warm caviar, I don't know, it's a little weird. But the potatoes and the crust should be room temperature. So I would keep your, whatever you're topping it with, in the fridge and keep this out before your guests come. I don't know who would complain about this. Who wants to try Aunt Mary's caviar pie? Reginald von Helsing. Here she is. It's weighted down by so much caviar. It's a good combo, right?
It's delicious.
Thank you, Aunt Mary. Now we're going to combine an Aunt Mary recipe with a very beautiful wintry citrus salad, which is supremed or supremed. Now, what does that mean? It means segments of citrus fruit without any membrane, veins, or obviously peel. It's not easy. Now, everybody I was watching online this week said, don't be too precious about getting close to the membrane. They said you really just need the V-shaped piece, and you can just squeeze the thing, the leftovers, if you don't want to waste it for juice or something. We're going to use blood orange, cara, and a grapefruit. Wash your hands. Now, the guy I was watching did it with a huge chef's knife like this. I'm going to massacre this, I'm just warning you. He said, first of all, you cut the top and bottom off. Pith, we don't want that. There you go. This is hard. You have to be a little wasteful, I think. That's what you want. Use a really sharp knife, by the way. Now, I'm supposed to go like this. Ay, ay, ay. The knife went straight through. Ah! That's a supremed grapefruit right there. So this is not as hard as I thought, actually. I'm not a big citrus fruit person, but if it's supremed, I'll consider eating it. I don't really like citrus flavored things. I don't know. Is that weird? This is a labor of love, you know. Oh, sorry, my phone's on. Okay, so if we're gonna save these for juice. Now that might have been the easiest one because it was the biggest one. This is an orange. Maybe smaller is easier. I don't know. So see the vein? I'm cutting flesh from in between two membranes. So this is a very bright, lovely salad that your friends who don't like citrus might like. I mean, I can speak as one of your friends that doesn't like citrus. Look at that. It's like I know what I'm doing. And blood orange. Oh, now these are very beautiful to dry and use them as table decorations. You can dry them just out on a tray. You don't need a dehydrator, but it's much faster. And they dry, they retain the color. It's stunning. In from the membrane, in from the membrane. That's a stunner, isn't it? The color. So we're gonna make a sort of delightful syrup. Now, as you may know, as a dinner partier, I do not make simple syrup. I buy it in a bottle. I just use this product. Indispensable. Pure cane sugar and water. Okay, that's about all we need. We're just gonna flavor this. What am I gonna use? This is Fabry ginger in syrup. Look what's on top. Syrup with ginger. And then inside are beautiful little balls of ginger. It's fabulous. It's a great treat, yeah. Lynn's like, oh my God, why am I not eating that?
When did we get that?
So now we have some ginger syrup in there. Oh, it's warming. Look how nice they make them. Oh my God. It's very hot. Hot ginger. It was a big piece. Okay, I'm gonna gently heat this, not because we need to heat it, because it's already melted, but because I wanna infuse it. Hi, Mama. Let me pick you up, show you to the folks. Are you Bing Bang? You are. You're my everything. So anyway, here's our syrup. I'm just gonna infuse it with some flavors. What flavors, you ask? Star anise, perhaps. This is a licorice flavor, not my favorite flavor, but they are also visually beautiful. Obviously, you can't eat these, but they're sort of stunning. You with the stars in your eyes. Putting 2 in here. These are long peppers. Don't ask, it's a little chefy, whatever, okay? Just putting in a couple of little peppers is gonna spice it up a little bit. I'm gonna fish out the star anise and the long peppers. But these I will not fish out. These are red peppercorns. Very beautiful in any kind of dessert. From my pink peppercorn cookies to ice cream, very, very good. This is lemon rind cut with a regular peeler. You don't need to cook this because you already used the pre-made syrup, but it's good to heat it to let it infuse with the flavors that you added. The ginger syrup is off the chain. Let's do the pears. These are Bosc pears. They're quite unripe. I like the fact that these pears are quite firm because as you poach them, they don't become mushy sort of messes. I have prepared a bath with a juice of a lemon in it. It should be more lemony than that. What the lemon juice will do is as you are peeling your pears, they'll brown. So the lemon juice prevents the pears from browning. Peeling pears. I want to tell you guys about this amazing man on YouTube. His name is Vernon Jackson. He is a barber that specializes in haircuts for neurodivergent kids. Kids that have never had a haircut because nobody can touch them. Kids that are terrified of having their hair cut. Kids that are nonverbal, all kinds of kids. I know he's trained, but he has a technique where like kids that can't get their hair cut anywhere else in the United States, they go to see this guy, Vernon Jackson. And you can gift a haircut. If you donate to Vernon Jackson, it's called a gifted event. You can give one of these haircuts for somebody who really has kids with a rat's nest that they can't touch. You know, they go and have their haircut. Watch this guy work. He's pretty amazing. One of the things he does is he tells them, say, stop, go. Eventually they start playing. They start out going, stop, stop, go. And then slowly it becomes stop, go. And then he's cutting their hair, which is all the parents want. I mean, they just want their kid to look, you know, halfway decent. I'm using a melon baller, and I'm just gonna go straight along the seam here. You just wanna cut that. Leave the stem if you can, it's rather eleganza. This is really easy because they're unripe. If they're ripe, this can be a complete pain in the butt. Poaching pears in wine, what does it do? Well, you can use white wine if you want to keep them white, but if you poach them in red wine, it turns them scarlet. Remember when Scarlett goes to the party? When Rhett wants her to go to the party in a red dress, you remember that scene? And oh God, she looks so beautiful. It's because she's been caught with Melanie's husband, and everybody in town knows Scarlett walks in the room, and everybody's going, oh, there's Miss Scarlett. And Melanie comes through the crowd, the unmatchable Olivia de Havilland, and you think she's gonna hit her or yell at her. And she goes, oh, Scarlett, I'm so pleased you could come.
Will you be an angel? I do need you to help me receive my guests.
It's an incredible scene. The only problem is the first line of the book is Scarlett O'Hara was not beautiful. And then they open the movie with the face of Vivian Leigh, which is kind of amazing. There's a Trivial Pursuit question, which is, can you say Scarlett O'Hara's full name? Can you do it? Answer below. You know, do you need the stem? Not really, but it's cute. Okay, there we go. We have 6 pieces. They're safe because they're in the lemon. Let's make the bath. What's rule number 1 about cooking with wine? Never cook with wine you wouldn't drink because, trust me, the flavor will go into your dish. That's good with the pears. It's very acidic. Into this pot, I'm going to pour basically a bottle of wine. The juice, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. People who love Manischewitz's dream, what I just did. Remember the taste test with Emily? That was an experience.
Oh, there's an aftertaste.
I'm gonna heat this up until the sugar dissolves. Some vanilla. This is Hey La La, vanilla extract with seeds. The black flecks are important, I think. I'm just gonna put some. Now I might put a little bit of that ginger syrup just to marry this together. Put one of these in. Bring it to a rolling boil, then turn it down to a simmer. Add your pears. 8 minutes on one side, and then about 8 to 10 minutes on the other side. So the easiest way is opening side up. There we go. I'm pouring some tart cherry concentrate. First of all, it's a beautiful ingredient for this dish. And secondly, because the wine is not really turning the color, they're not going to be quite as scarlet as I wanted. If you use a little bit of beet juice, which is sweet, it would stain them even better. But I put a little bit of this in. This is a secret ingredient for so many things I make. I want them to be slightly firm, not mushy, but not too firm. I'm going to test them with this toothpick. Ooh. Oh, that's divine. These are ready. Take them out of the poaching liquid. Look how beautiful they are. Not exactly scarlet, but gorgeous. I think they look pretty beautiful. If you weren't using the Supreme with the juice and everything, and the syrup, you could reduce this. You might have to add sugar, but you would reduce this and serve it with this with a little shaved chocolate, a gorgeous dessert. You don't have to do the whole Supreme thing. This is just basically, let's see how bitter it is. Wow, that's good. These are going to be divine. Let's assemble. Put these on a drying rack so that they can cool more quickly. They're quite hot. Oh, I also want to recommend to you guys something very, very excellent. It's an incredible podcast. Yes, it's a podcast. It's the first podcast, besides Ricky Gervais, I've ever listened to. It's called The Rest is History. It is superb. It's these two fabulous British guys who take you to school, but they're also very funny and sweet, and they rib each other, and you'll learn so much. Like they had one about the Civil War. They were talking about the concept of Civil War for an hour. They also have one about the Roman Empire. They have one about anything you'd want to know about. They're amazing. These turned out beautiful. So you can use some store-bought ice cream. You can make some ice cream, beautiful ice cream, if you want to refer to one of our ice cream episodes and you have a machine. Or you could simply serve it with a little rocha or a quenelle of creme fraiche. You can serve it with whipped cream, or you can serve it with nothing. These are fine with the pears warm, the pears room temperature, or the pears cold. Take two beautiful pears in the middle like this. Now I'm sort of going to put more Supreme than you would just to make it look beautiful. I'm essentially making one portion. The plate would be smaller, but I'm going to decorate this for you. Wow, guys. So I'm using the blood orange judiciously for effect. Now this is a large portion, but it's only citrus, so does it really matter? Use our syrup here. I'm avoiding the big pieces. Oh my God, you guys, this is divine. I'm thrilled with that. I almost don't want to put the chocolate on, but in honor to Aunt Mary, we will. Oh, this is a Lindt chocolate bar, dark chocolate, yeah. That is a pretty magnificent dessert. Just a hint of chocolate with the pears, you know? Red wine poached pears with a citrus Supreme and shaved chocolate. Viva Aunt Mary. Today we made Aunt Mary's whipped potato and caviar pie. Maybe not exactly how she made it, but pretty good. Then we made red wine poached pears with shaved chocolate surrounded by a citrus salad with star anise syrup. We hope you enjoyed this tribute to my Aunt Mary Sharp Cronson. My Aunt Mary, who incidentally had stems, she had beautiful legs, by the way. She was just a vigorous, vital person. And I hope I inherited some of that not the leg part, but some of the vigor and vitality from her. Safe journey, Aunt Mary, safe journey. Just don't drive. I'm gonna try this. I'm not a big citrus person, but I'll try it. I would eat that at any restaurant. Look at that. It stained it beautifully. Aunt Mary used to use whole pears and stuff the bottom of the pear where the core was with chocolate. This is a little more subtle. Wow, Caroline and Paul, this is a superb dessert. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know what to say. Reading your comments makes my day. I'm actually going through a sort of a difficult time right now, but when I read those comments, it absolutely makes my day. I can't tell you how grateful we are that you watch our show. It's amazing. Keep writing, keep commenting, keep complaining if you want. Keep asking for things. You are the reason we do the show. So if you feel like it, you're supposed to hit the bell and subscribe, and it changes the algorithm. Nobody understands what it is really. But if you feel like it, do that. And just thank you so much for watching. You don't have to watch it, and yet you do. What can we say but thank you?